All right, hey, welcome back to Johnny's Garage. Simple show this week. We're going part two with Alan Martin. Hope y'all enjoy it.
Living legend if there ever was one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Super excited.
Mentioned Continental. I got a question for you.
All right.
You had your people all the way through your run with different things. And I noticed the one person that was with you through the Continental, your USWA, and probably other places. Was Dutch Mantell a big help to you?
Dutch, kind of, sort of. He liked the way I worked, and everything. And other than that, he didn't bring me anywhere or take me anywhere. I got to go to Japan through Abdullah.
Okay.
Abdullah got me there. And then it was weird about going to Japan, because I was wondering, the first timers, they get probably anywhere from, I'm gonna say, $800 to $1,000 a week guarantee. Mine was $2,200, and I kept wondering, why did I get $2,200 a week? And starter outers don't do that. And come to find out that I was all in the Japanese magazines when I managed the Samoans and Master Chono.
Okay.
They had me managing them in their magazines. And it was just like I've been there.
And was that when you were doing the Mr. Martin stuff?
Yeah. But I was already an RPM by then.
Right.
Yeah, but they knew me from the Mr. Martin stuff.
Okay.
But I've done so much stuff that one man can't do all in a lifetime.
Who came up with your loser gimmick in USWA?
That was Dutch.
I don't know. Martin, did you ever go and watch that video where he came out with the bowling ball?
I haven't had time to get to it yet.
I'll let him tell it, but I watched that video and I laughed, and I asked him, I says, was this somebody wrote this for you, or was this yours? And he told me it was his.
Oh, everything come out of there was mine. Because they told me that they give me the actual outline of what they wanted me to do and told me to run with it. And I did. And because the deal was, wrestling was my first love. And today, right here on TV, I'm going to win my first match. But they said that I was great at everything.
Yeah,
anything I put my mind to, I was great at. I
had baseball first, then football.
Yeah, it was baseball, football. I had a golf one. Then because the gimmick on that, the golf one, he says, I said, I'm tickled because I played 18 holes of golf before I come to the show today. He goes, yeah, what was your score? And I said, 18. And I got in the ring.
What?
But the bowling ball, The bowling ball, I went out there, and that's my bowling ball. Actually mine, that I bowled in leagues. Everywhere I went and stayed, I joined a bowling league. I used to love bowling. And so I had the ball, and I went out there, and I told what was that guy's name? That ring announcer,
Dave somebody. It was the USWA, the Memphis announcer, Dave Brown.
Yeah, was it Dave Brown?
I think it was Dave
I
Brown,
think
and
it was. Yeah, but I told him, I said, I'm a happy man. They said, he goes, why? And he says, I said, because I bowled my 12th perfect game of bowling. I bowled 301. And he looked at me, he says, how'd you bowl 301? As you can get in bowling, it's 300. I said, you ever bowled 300 and lose? And set the ball down, went to work.
Well, you bowled 300 and lost that match.
Yeah, I did.
You were wrestling Thumper that night.
Yeah.
You actually got to
did.
work a lot of good guys up there. You didn't lose to nobodies.
No, I didn't do jobs for people except top guys.
Right, and you started working with Mike Davis up there a lot.
Yeah.
That was like one of your, when you did six mans and stuff, Mike Davis was always in there.
Yeah. And Lou Fabiano.
Okay. Yep.
You remember Lou?
I remember seeing him. I don't remember, much about him.
Yeah, he lived in New York now. So that was where he's from. Okay. Anyway. And he actually lives in New York. He's got a beautiful family. You remember Lou Spicoli?
Louis Spicoli, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lou Fabiano and Lou Spicoli come to Continental, and they give them a job. Well, it was the 4th of July, and they give us like 4 days off. Continental did. So I had a cabin on the river. So we all went, just a bunch of wrestlers down there now. And so I took them both snipe hunting. One of them from California and the other from New York. They don't know nothing about no snipe hunting. Well, but I had all the boys in the dressing room build up for it. And they're going, y'all going snipe hunting? Yeah, we're going snipe hunting. Oh, and they all pitched a fit because they wouldn't go in, But like, oh man, I love it. And everybody, the whole crew was bragging to them about them going snipe hunting. Well, it's dark down there. Well, it's where I live now, but it's when they cut the lights off down here, it's dark. And I put both of them greenhorns in them bushes, and I put them in a pine thicket, and they got stuck, cut off 2 pieces. But me and Mike went up top of the hill, and they walked out of the woods. Man, we couldn't even see them. That's how dark it was. Then all of a sudden, you could hear them talking. And they says, hey, Lou, I think this is a work, man. And Lou Spicoli said, no, Alan and Mike wouldn't do that to us, would they? No, I don't think so. They're going to have to find their way out of them woods. I had a good time. Let me tell you.
I have never known a group of wrestlers to get together and not have a good time or pull a rib.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a real pull somewhere.
You told me you had a really good $100 challenge story.
Which one? Oh yeah, I do.
And we got one that he probably will talk about. The one in Prattville.
No, talking about me.
No, the one
him?
in Prattville where they started the riot after they kicked the guy and booted him out of the ring.
Yeah. Oh, there was a bunch of them, man. I had
No,
riots.
if you're talking about the
everywhere.
one, if you're talking about the one I was talking about, that was in Wetumpka.
No, the one somebody's brother got knocked out.
Yeah, that was in Wetumpka.
That was in Wetumpka? Yeah,
That
it
was
was in
absolutely in
Wetumpka.
Wetumpka. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was Wetumpka, and it was me and Randy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you the funny one first. We was in Dothan, Alabama, and I did the $100 challenge like I always do. And finally, they found me somebody. And so he got in there. Now, I hadn't done anything up to this point. And the kids just started in wrestling. He come in there and I annihilated him. I beat him senseless. Well, and I hooked him and made him give up. Well, now it's time for the real match. It was me and Mike Jackson. And we do our thing back and forth. And finally, I'm getting the heat on it. Sitting on front row was a real skinny guy and a big old woman. And that was his wife. And somehow she got the notion that I was talking about her, probably because I was talking about her. And well, her husband, and y'all know this to be a fact too. A fan will not hit the ring as long as his shirt is on. They'll take that shirt off, no matter if they're coming in there. I don't know. I guess it because I ain't got mine on. They feel obligated. But he gets up this last time, and she kept telling him, pulling him by the arm. Well, so this time he jumps up because I'm belligerent that woman so bad. He had to do something. Well, he jumped up and he jerked that shirt off, and here he come. And I had Mike in a chin lock, and I said, Mike, fall to the side there and just stay there. I'll be back to get you in a minute. And I told the referee, here he comes. And I threw Mike on the other side. I was going to catch him when he come in. I was just going to stomp a mud hole in him. Well, right when he started to jump, his wife grabs him, picks him up, and he little legs just a wiggling and everything, picks him up, slams him down in a folding chair, and she called him USOB. She says, that guy up there will kill you. He done beat 3 people to half to death, and he'll kill you, and you got to go to work tomorrow. And she sit on him, and he wasn't getting up. And I was saying, won't you just send her up here? She might could do something to me. And I was praying all along, please don't send that woman up here. She liable to beat me.
Hey, I've been there. I have.
Yeah.
Well, I was in Clarksville, Tennessee, and they're throwing out just open challenge to the public, just regular hill stuff, just throwing
Yeah.
out open challenge. And this damn woman jumps up in the damn ring. She stands up. She's almost as tall as I am. She's
Oh,
got a
God.
black. She's got a black eye and one tooth missing in the front. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to hit this woman, right? I don't want to have to hit this woman. And I look, and damn ring security's over there laughing. They're doubled over laughing, pointing at me, laughing. And so I just backpedaled to the ropes, flipped out over the ropes to the floor, went to the security. I kicked the first one as hard as I could kick him. I elbowed the other one as hard as I could hit him, and caught them both by the top of the hair and drug them down to the ring and threw them up in there. And I said, now, how fucking funny is that? And so I didn't have to hit her, and I was able to save face at the same time.
Yeah.
But man, that was horrible, dude. That's like, oh my God.
Couldn't get whooped right here in my own ring.
You remember what happened to me up in Iowa, don't you? In Iowa, when I was wearing the mask, I had this gimmick. Nobody else in the building could wear a mask. I always took it off of them. I was the only one in this show that had a mask unless I brought him in.
Yeah.
I ended up bringing Pete up there doing his Skullmaster gimmick. And we ran roughshod over him up there. And I had this little girl crying. It was the promoter's daughter. I didn't know she was going to go into crocodile tears. She had the mask on, smiling. And I told her, I said, you better get that off or I'm going to rip it off. And everybody goaded her into keeping it on. So I just went over and snatched it off her head. She instantly in tears, and they took her out. And I said, if I catch anybody in here wearing a mask, I'm going to take it off of them. About 3 minutes later, this guy had to be about 6'8", 500 pounds, 400, somewhere in there. He had a mask stretched to right there because all I had was little kids' masks I was selling.
Yeah.
He started to come up to the ring. I'm looking at security like, I had a chair in my hand. I'm about ready to swing this thing. I did about what he did, got out of the ring, started throwing chairs out of the audience in the ring, got to the back, find out it was one of their relatives.
Oh.
I'm like, you were about to have this guy had his head split open. I was nice. I wanted to leave the state.
Yeah. Well, I was working somewhere. I think it was around here, around Alabama somewhere. And there was this hair lip girl, young hair lip girl. You know how most hair lip people talk. And and I was an equal opportunity heel. I heel on everybody. I didn't care. And well, so I started honking like she wants. And I told her, if you didn't shut up, I'm going to slap your lip straight. And her daddy jumped up, and I said, come on up here. I'll slap yours crooked. Well, the show was over. I thought it was over with. I get home. First thing in the morning. I'm talking after traveling half the night to get back home. I'm in the bed, sound asleep. My phone rings. It's my mother. And she commits to chewing me out. And she says, I can't believe you talked to that little girl like that. And I went, what are you talking about? I done forgot about it. Yeah, but I don't remember who I heel on, who I don't,
Yeah.
But it was our neighbor's niece that come to the show, and she called her aunt, and the witch called my mama, which called me. Early in the morning.
You couldn't write that stuff.
No, man, you can't.
People don't understand. how much it is on getting heat on an audience, and
Yeah.
and how we kind of bare our souls to these people out there when we're getting heat on. We show the worst
Yeah.
side of ourselves, you know. And but one of the funniest things that ever happened to me was up in Tuscaloosa. I was working for Ruby, Robert Gibson's sister, Ruby,
Yeah.
up there, and so my very first night there, Robert puts the heat on me hard. Like he had me tagging with Tommy gun, and he had me screwing. And then
Yeah.
people, man, and so I'm getting heat like nobody's business. I've got a daggone armed guard walking me back from the ring, and I'm covered in drinking nacho cheese, you know, which is what they love to throw on people. And so I go get cleaned up and everything. When I get ready to leave, I've never been in this building before. So when I walk out and the door shuts behind me, I look up and there's about 30 people standing around my car. And
Oh.
I turn around to walk back in the building, and it didn't have a handle on the outside of that door. It was a one-way door. And I said, "Oh boy, you've done it this time, you know." So I squared my shoulders and I walked straight out there to my car. And this one girl looks at me and goes, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "It's a free country." And she goes, "Are you really from a mental institution?" Because they would bill me from an institute. And
Yeah.
I said, I don't have to answer that. And she goes, "Well, we are, and we're with you." And I look, and there's a bus from Bryce's parked in the corner. And I just gained one of the best fan clubs I ever had. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't know what you're going to get when you start really getting into and learning the art of making an audience react the way you want them to. You know,
Yeah. I know it.
getting in tune with that audience. And so now they use camera tricks. They use camera tricks and they try to tell their story backstage,
Yeah.
whereas we always told our story in front of the audience. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Because they never showed backstage
No.
when coming up in it.
Well, I think you probably agree with this. When I first started, we were in separate dressing rooms. The heels and
Yeah.
the faces wasn't together. You know,
Right.
and so when people would look at me and go, "Y'all back there practicing?" No, we ain't back there practicing. You know, most of the time, especially in my first, 6 or 7 years, I would meet somebody just a few minutes before I'd be out there getting in a wrestling ring with them.
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't have time to rehearse.
Yeah.
And so we either had to know what we were doing, or it looked like crap. Either you knew your job or you
Yeah.
didn't. And
That's
so,
true.
Well, the
yeah.
closest they got to backstage was if they were sitting with Gordon Soley doing an interview. And Gordon or any of them, their thing was just on 50 feet away from the ring. That's the closest you got to backstage.
That is true.
Yeah.
So,
Because
and you
we got dressed in TBS. We was in a hallway, and with the curtains. Oh, that's it. And we was just all sitting around in that hall.
I've heard that from other people too.
Yeah.
But you said you were an equal opportunity heel. I remember you as a baby face.
Oh,
you were still an equal opportunity heel.
Oh boy, that's true. That's true. See, here's what a lot of your heels get now. Or say like you, Martin, you turn on me. I'm still the same guy.
Yeah.
And just because, I'm going to go out there and do the exact same, as I did when I was a heel. I'm
Yeah.
just do it with a smile, like I told everybody,
Absolutely.
and so even a lot of baby faces where they get hurt at is where they turn them heel. All of a sudden, boom, they forget how to wrestle.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
Just last week, you was giving arm drags and hip tosses and wrestling around, but now you just forgot how to be a wrestler. It's like my mentality of being a heel. I've always loved being a heel, but
Amen.
now if you would you never change your ways. The marquee is wrestling,
Right.
and you could not get in this business without knowing how to wrestle.
Yeah.
So I was a heel and I did wrestling moves. I just did it with a smirk on my face. That's what I tell everybody. I just do it in a mean way. So, but that's, you get some heels that go out there that don't do anything. Kick, punch, kick, punch, kick, punch. That's nothing. Get out there and you wrestle. And then when you can't out wrestle the guy that you're wrestling, stick a thumb in his eye.
That's what I was always taught.
Yeah.
You wrestle, you wrestle, you wrestle. The baby is always going to out wrestle you. That's where the heel comes out of you, and how you shut that down.
Well, there are so many things wrong with the way that they started doing it. Like nobody will shine their baby up anymore. And towards the end of my career, if I had a baby in there and I'd let him have 10 minutes at the beginning of the match, he would be so blowed up he wouldn't know which way to go. And it's like I'm letting him show his product, and then I'm going to take it from him, and I'm going to stretch him out. But I need that audience to believe that he's somebody before I take it from him. And those guys would run out of stuff to do. They couldn't think enough to do it. And I'm trying back in the back, trying to explain to them, bro, all you got to do is grab one hold and just go back to it every time. Get a hold on me, keep that hold. If I get away from it, go back to it, keep it. And so what I started doing was I would feed into taking arm drags, and then I wouldn't let them go, and I'd make them keep arm dragging me, and I would shine them up myself because they couldn't do it for me. And
you're right.
Yeah.
The only thing I never saw you do as a heel was sing Elvis. Do you remember you singing Elvis?
Huh?
You remember you singing Elvis?
Yeah.
I had that on tape for the longest time, and the night you sung Elvis was the night you took out David with the broom.
Yeah, I know it. I remember that.
He out there. What's the song he sang? It's almost like a gospel song Elvis did.
American Trilogy.
Right. He sang the whole thing in the middle of the show.
Yeah. Matter of fact, that made me a lot of money doing the Elvis shows, because I used to do them all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Around 50th wedding anniversaries, Christmas time are the best time for Elvis shows.